Your actions are the only thing that matters to a cat. You might have heard people say, like, if you go on a date with a guy and he's rude to the waiter or the waitress, like, that means that he's a bad person, basically, and that he's going to treat you that way eventually, even if he's being super sweet right now. I think that the way people relate to animals is a similar indicator. What do I do when I'm in a dynamic where I have all the power and there's this being? What am I willing to do that she doesn't want me to do? Basically, I brought a cat into my house who was traumatized. She had been living in the wild for at least 6 months, probably longer. It was dangerous. She literally had to fight for her survival, and I kidnapped her and drove with her for almost an hour. So she was pretty freaked out when she got here, and I've had to be really patient, and I've had to really respect the fact that she isn't made for me. She doesn't exist for my pleasure. I don't have the right to touch her whenever I want to. It's her body. Does this sound familiar to anybody? To any feminists? Ringing any bells there? As much as I might like to think that she's my cat, the truth is that there's no such thing as my cat. She is a cat who lives in my house. And she is her own cat. It's beautiful to have the opportunity to create a safe space for a being to slowly learn to trust me. It's one of the most rewarding things ever. And the way that you let a being know that it can trust you, whether it's a person or an animal, is by being consistent in your behaviors. It's really cool with a cat because language isn't really part of it, you know? So there's no saying one thing and doing another. Your actions are the only thing that matters to a cat. And honestly, with a human being, it's the same thing. People can get confused by your words, but your actions are what actually matters. So if you're saying, I respect you to a person, but then you keep touching them without asking, or you continually cross any boundary that they have set, then your actions are what are teaching them that they can't trust you, even while your words are trying to tell them that they can. And that can be confusing because we're conditioned to pay more attention to words, I think. We're just such cerebral beings. We live in the world of thoughts. And sometimes it can be easy to forget that we are animals too. So I have this opportunity to be consistent in my actions, to be a trustworthy and respectful person, and to let this cat know that she can relax and that she can trust me, and that when she teaches me that she has a boundary, I'm going to respect that, if at all possible. You know, occasionally I have to make her do something that she doesn't want to do, but since I never do that unless I have to, I think she's more likely to trust that there's a reason for that and that I'm not just being a dick. So basically, when a cat hisses at you or scratches you, it's very clear that you have crossed a boundary. Cats, that is one thing that's awesome about them, is that they're not afraid to tell you, I don't like that, don't do that. So I listened to that, not only because I didn't want to get scratched again, but also because I want her to feel safe. And I believe that like really beautiful relationships can happen between people and animals, but only when people are able to really humble themselves and respect that animal and meet them as an equal. Because we are equals. It doesn't matter if I have more ability to think abstract thoughts than she does, or that I'm bigger than she is. Neither of those things make me like better than her in any way. She has a lot of things that I don't have. She is more connected to her animal self and her senses and her instincts than I'll ever be. She can hear and smell and see better than I ever will. And who knows what else. It feels really cool to have a piece of the wilderness in my home. She is the wild embodied, sleeping on my rug. It's kind of like being in a relationship with somebody who has had trauma. You need to meet them where they're at and respect the fact that there are reasons why they have the boundaries that they do, and you need to realize that over time, those boundaries might soften as they learn to trust you, But the only way that they're going to learn to trust you is by you consistently respecting their boundaries every single time until they choose to shift them. I think it's okay to check now and then, to check and see if that boundary is there. If she was a human, I could ask her verbally, but since she's not, that's what I do. And, uh, and I respect it as soon as she enforces that boundary. You don't want to be on the internet for 30s of people to see? No? With your ear? Oh, there she is! Oh, there's the kitty! Wow, look at that yawn. It's my baby! You're such a good cat, little Rosie. Little Rosie cat. Thank you for your smile. You are so cute.